What's up, brothers? Hope everyone's doing well out there. Wanted to come out here this evening, well, technically this morning. It's about 1 a.m. on a Friday morning. Anyways, my weekend starts on Thursday, so I'm up a little bit late. I wanted to come out here and share with you guys a piece of dating advice. I've had a lot of people request that I would come out with my dating advice videos before the weekend to get you prepared. That's exactly what we're going to do. And in tonight's video, I'm going to share with you probably the most effective piece of dating advice I could possibly share with you. And this is something that, me personally, it's my go-to. And I only do this when I'm with a woman that I'm actually serious about. Because what we're going to talk about tonight is something that can almost instantly, I'm dead serious, it can almost instantly cause a woman to have a very deep emotional connection to you. Trust me, this is 100%. No, I'm not baiting you here or anything like that. And it has nothing to do with looks, money, status, not even sex, anxiety, fear of missing out, or anything like that. Those things will all get your foot in the door. But if you're already on a date, then you don't need to get your foot in the door. Your foot's already in the door. Now, I want to give you an example, because I don't quite have a way to define this exactly. But if you're on a date with a woman that you're interested in, if you stop what you're doing and you put your arms around her and give her a giant hug, not like a timid hug, like a bear hug, like you're trying to fix her back, kind of squeeze her, lift her feet up off the ground, hold her there for about 10 seconds. For a hug, that's a long time. And this is one example. You can put your own twist on it, your own style on it. Doesn't have to be a hug. You could put your arm around her. You could, I don't know. There's a lot of things you could do. But the reason why I say bear hug is because when you give a woman a bear hug, assuming she's interested in you, if she just has a little bit of interest in you and she's enjoying herself, when you give her that bear hug, she gets a surge of oxytocin running through her almost instantly. Her cortisol drops, so her stress levels are down, her feel-good hormones are up, serotonin's up, and it's almost like taking a puff of a cigar or taking a shot of whiskey. When a woman is shown a deep level of affection, and not from some simping way, not giving her some goofy compliment or, buying her something or whatever. No, real masculine affection that only a man can give to a woman. And that's why I say a bear hug. Even if you're a small, skinny guy, you're not very strong, you have testosterone, your bone density and your muscles are strong enough to bear hug a woman, give her a nice firm hug that makes her feel safe and wrapped in your arms. You can do it. Technically you could probably do this by letting her sit on your lap. If the two of you sit down on, it could be like a park bench, you're taking a walk. Grab her and pull her, let her sit on your lap, put your arms around her, squeeze her a little bit. Something like that. But you can look this up. I'm not making this up. This is something that I've always done, and I wasn't quite sure what I was doing. And eventually, I looked it up and kind of studied the psychology behind it. And, it's literally like a woman gets a buzz off of that. Her stress levels drop, her feel-good hormones go up, and she feels in love. Seriously. And when you do this, I promise, your first date, you do something like that. Big bear hug, lift her feet up off the ground, maybe swing her around a little bit. She'll probably make a noise Like, one of those noises, like if you woke up in the morning and you yawned and you made like a euphoric grunt almost. Like you just kind of, I don't know. Maybe not like a yawn sound effect, but she'll probably even make a noise. I'm dead serious. And you'll know, okay, it worked. And she's going to get that euphoric feeling. And she's going to attach that euphoric feeling to you. Like the same way that you attach a euphoric feeling to a cigar or a shot of whiskey. So you keep going back to that cigar or that shot of whiskey. And I know what some of you guys are thinking. You're thinking, well, doesn't that mean, in this day and age, oh, damn, that was some nice lightning. Wait for the thunder. That's weird, no thunder. Anyways, I know what you guys are thinking. Women have unlimited amounts of options, right? So if you do it, that means some other guy, can meet her and he could do it with her. Oh, there we go. Damn, that was a long pause. Anyways, but that's not the case. Once a woman starts to feel that attachment, that emotional connection to a guy, which is you, because you just did that, she begins to feel repulsed when other men try to hit on her. A lot of these guys are poisoning your mind and telling you that loyalty is dead. Women can't be loyal anymore. Women can't be loyal to looks, money, status, or games. They'll never be loyal to that. They are as loyal as their options. They're as loyal as their best option. But that's an incomplete statement because they're loyal to the best option according to her feelings. And when you do things like that, you get her feelings revved up. And I'm telling you, and I speak from experience. I can say this with 100% confidence. You hang out with her on the weekend, you do some shit like that. She's all in her feelings about you. She's going to hit you up on Monday, with something like, I'm driving by your place and I have to stop at the store by your place. Would you like to meet up? I only have about 20 minutes, but can we just talk and meet up? Things like that. And then you can just give her another hug. Something like that. And she's going to keep coming back to you for more. She's going to keep wanting that feeling. And it's that easy, but it has to be a masculine hug. She's a woman. And she has to feel embraced by your masculinity. And I'm 100%. That's the best tip that I could ever possibly give you guys. If you were to tell me, hey, she's not calling me back, she ghosted me after the first date, I'd say, well, how'd the first date go? You say, it went good. What do you mean? We laughed, we joked, we had a good time, we even had sex. But she ghosted. Say, well, when you walked out of that restaurant, did you grab her and put your arms around her? Chest to chest, bear hug her and lift her up off the ground? And if the answer is no, well, we know why it didn't work out. A lot of guys overcomplicate these things. But when you're fully aware of how women fall in love, how they become attached, what they become attached to, you see them through a whole different lens. You don't want to end up one of these 50-year-old dudes going on podcasts with 20-year-olds telling them women aren't loyal. Guys don't have a chance nowadays. There's hope for all of you, guaranteed. But when you start to understand what really makes them fall in love, what really pulls them in, what gets them attached, and what just makes them melt in your hands, you'll start to view them differently. All those times that you thought, man, I must be such a stud, I must be so good looking, I must have such good game, because she came over and she had sex with me, or whatever. What really happened is she was looking for that masculine affection. I would say a bear hug is probably 10 times as potent as sex to a woman when it comes to intimacy, when it comes to that feeling of fulfillment. I think we got a tornado. I think that's what that thing is. Damn. I better get in. But yeah, something like a bear hug, just some masculine affection, is stronger than sex to a woman. It's powerful. They'll keep coming back to you for more. And like I said, you can put your own twist on it. My top two are the bear hug and, she can sit on my lap. Like I'm telling you, if you're having a conversation with a woman and she's sitting on your lap, her feet haven't touched the ground in like an hour and a half, she's going to be hooked on you. She's going to be addicted to that. She's going to want to come over Tuesday, Wednesday. She's going to want to keep doing that. She's instantly going to run over to you and jump on you and want to be with you. But you have to do it right. The problem with most guys is they're thinking, should I go in for a kiss? They're thinking, when is the right time to go in for a kiss? Screw that. Go in for a bear hug. You go in for a bear hug, for the next 6 months she's going to be trying to kiss you. But here's the kicker. Once you turn a woman on, the only way to turn her off is to completely ignore her. And by the way, the manosphere thinks that's how you get a woman turned on. That's not. When she becomes almost dependent upon your affection, the only way that you can flip that switch off, because sometimes you want to flip it off. You're like, damn, I've got this girl in love. And that maybe I moved too fast. Maybe I didn't want to do that. So you want to tone it down just a little bit. Maybe turn it off for a month and turn it back on. You get cold feet or whatever. But you can't turn it off. You turn it off once, she's devastated, heartbroken, and you've ruined it. So you have to do it wisely. When people put in their thumbnails on YouTube, promise you won't use this for evil. This is that real talk. This is the real one. And guys out there that know. By the way, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm literally giving you my advice from my experience. Source, trust me, bro. But it works for me, and I looked up the science on it, looked up the psychology on it, and found out, whoa, that's why it works. It actually checks out. Every woman yearns for that masculine affection. Not in some way, and I have to put an emphasis on this part. A lot of guys, they want to be like perverted, right? They don't understand the way women's minds work. Intimacy to a woman and intimacy to a man, it's like it's weird that God created us this way. In a way that men are direct and they want it like perverted and obscene. Women are intimate and they want it very personal, like almost in a loving, sensitive kind of way. And when you give it to them that way, that's when they unleash the freakiest sides of themselves. That's when they unleash the hottest, just the craziest, sexiest sides of themselves. But if you're just going in trying to get a kiss, trying to like put moves on her or talk sexy to her, sometimes that'll work, but it's not nearly as effective. And players know this. Bad boys know this. One thing about a player or a bad boy, he knows this stuff works. He does it, but he's kind of a sociopath afterwards, and he doesn't care. Like, now she's deeply invested, she's hooked, and he can move on. But nonetheless, if you're a guy that's looking for a relationship and a serious relationship, and you want to keep her around, and you don't just want to move on, smash and dash, and you can use this to your advantage. I'm trying to think of a couple more examples if I can. You know, the bear hug is a go-to. The letting her sit on your lap. Technically, it could probably be as simple as holding her hand if you squeeze her hand, but that's probably not enough. Definitely, anytime your face, your chin, anything touches her neck or her shoulders, you know, that's going to work for sure. But holding her tight is probably the most effective. And, you know, there is a loyalty thing that exists within women when they see you as the source that provides that to them. It's something they don't know they're missing. It's a masculine power that you have over her. You know, when a cute girl walks by and all the guys are going crazy, jaws hit the floor, she kind of has this power over all of them. Your power over a woman lies within you showing masculine affection the right way, not like a simp, not in a weak kind of way. And if you've ever wondered, if you've ever seen a couple out there, a man and a woman, and sometimes the dude isn't even like all that, right? He's like, you look at him and you're like, this guy's lower than me and looks, money, and status. Not to be superficial, but he is. You know, objectively speaking, he is. And he has a hot girlfriend, and I'd like to talk to her. I wish she was mine. You know, maybe you say that. But she won't even look your way. You know, you've heard all this stuff about hypergamy, and, you know, they tell you what women are attracted to. And this doesn't fit that mold at all, but she's not even looking at you. She won't look your way. And that's because he's providing her with that masculine affection that she needs. He's giving her something that has her hooked, and she sees you as something that you're not him. The only reason she's not interested in you is because you're not him. You know, and you can be him, just in a different situation, and that's how you become him. You know, by the way, the more intelligent a woman is, the more educated a woman is, the better this will work. I know a lot of guys want an uneducated kind of, they think like a traditional woman, and I understand that, but in this day and age, most of the high quality women are going to be educated. They're going to be smart. And, you know, that's typically what I go for. Most of the women that I date are more educated than me. Not necessarily smarter than me, like when it comes to engineering or, you know, fixing something or whatever, some critical thinking. I may actually be smarter than them, but in terms of book smarts, a lot of the women I date are smarter than me. You know, PhDs and stuff. So, you know, it doesn't really matter who you are, where you're at, who she is, where she's at. As long as she's getting this from you, as long as you're the source that's providing that. What is that? Is that a motorcycle? Can you hear that thumping? Boom, boom, boom. It's like a backfiring engine. I don't know. But yeah, you know, as long as you provide that to a woman, she'll be hooked almost instantly. And as long as you continue to give that to her, she'll stay hooked. You guys have an argument, you're going through a rough patch, grab her and give her that bear hug. Tell her everything will be okay, baby. Trust me. Trust me, bro. That's really what it's all about. When you understand that, and you realize, like, you actually feel bad for all the women that you've hooked up with. You know, because you know they were actually just looking for that masculine affection. You thought you were just a stud rocking their world. They wanted you to make them feel a certain type of way. And they were so desperate for it that they came over and they got sexual with you. And you got what you wanted and you moved on. But when you look back and you realize, holy shit, they were actually looking for me to be this wholesome guy that would provide that feeling to them. Women are completely ruled by their feelings. And they were hoping you would be the guy that would take care of her the right way, but suppose I'll just leave you with that right there. I think I've covered every aspect of this that I wanted to cover, and if not, we'll come back out and we'll make another video shortly, and we'll throw those other tidbits in that one. Alright guys, it's late. Looks like we got a NATO coming in, at least a thunderstorm. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this one off and get inside. But I hope this video was somewhat informative. And that's about it for today, guys. Until next time, see ya.